California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation, in partnership with the California Black Health Network, presents the African American Leadership Weekend and Wellness Day Conference, revitalizing the urban agenda.
For those that are leaders out there, know the value of having people around you that you can really depend on night and day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And this lady is such a lady, in spite of raising a child, being an entrepreneur, and owning several businesses. She is always, always there for the California Black Chamber. So I introduce to you your facilitator for accessing the political process, Ms. Alana Troutt. Give her a round of applause.
Hi, good morning. Ooh. Thank you for such a beautiful introduction. It's always humbling when you're introduced by someone that you hold in high esteem, because it doesn't say so in my profile, but I come from the islands. I come from Trinidad, and we're brought up differently. We're taught to respect and cherish our elders. We sit at the foot of those who've gone before us, always. I come from a family that weren't poor, but we didn't even know we didn't have. You know those days? I know, it's kind of interesting because you say those days, and when I was younger and you hear people talk about those days, it wasn't you they were talking about. But now it is me, because I see that whole disconnect. And I say to Aubrey when he calls me, and I do answer. There are a few people whose names appear on my phone, and if I'm in a meeting, I may bend down and sneak I'll call you back, okay? Or I just let it go to voicemail. But I know when he reaches out to me, it's because he has a need that needs to be answered. And I can't help it. I was telling Dr. Gaines this morning, those of you familiar, I have an education background. My great-grandparents were educators. My family was educators. It was very natural for me to move into my first degree being in education. But like Aubrey said, I'm one of those people who the right side and the left side of their brain works the same way. So I was a whiz at math as well. So after teaching for about 8 years, I was a nerd and I was proud of it, because I graduated from college at 20. And was teaching at 28 for 8 years. And the first group of kids that I'd ever taught were, I met the young lady somewhere, and she just graduated, and she was an engineer, and she was making $120,000 a year. And I said, wait, what's wrong with this picture? You know? And she was telling me what a great role model I was for her. And I said, okay, wait a minute. It's time to check myself. I'm broke. You know? And something's just not right with this picture. So went off and did accounting. So just changed completely, to the shock of my country, because they all knew me as an educator. And when I went home, I was a literature and theater specialist. So when I went home, and I started getting the nickname of the dramatic accountant. And I said, I don't know, that might end me up in jail, so let's just, or the creative accountant. I said, that's even worse, okay? So that's my background. So it's very easy for me when Aubrey calls me and says, I need a piece. I said, okay, let me think about it. So with that, I'm gonna segue into asking my panelists. Sebastian from the Senator's office is on his way in, and if I can have Marvell, one of our panelists, Mr. Tyrone Bland, I'm ready. Yeah, Mr. Tyrone Bland, can you, this is Mr. Sam Walton, and join me in welcoming him up to the podium. And later on, I will give you a little bit of introduction of who he is. And Mr. Tyrone Bland, unfortunately, called me yesterday. He was coming in from Texas, had a bit of a family emergency, and he kept me abreast, saying, yeah, I can make it, no, I can make it. Yes, she's coming, no, she's not coming. And then eventually he sent me a note last night saying he couldn't. So I figured the accountant and the theater dramatist in me said, you don't ever be unprepared.